About a year and a half ago, I got kicked in the back.
Yeah, I was assaulted at the end of 2010.
I've been hit twice.
He basically was throwing me around like a rag doll while he was punching me in the face and head.
During 2016-2017, there seemed to be a serious decline in adequate staffing.
Currently, we're stretched very thinly, so workers are pretty much one or two workers are left on the unit by themselves, and that is unsafe.
Right now, I think the patient acuity is really high and we don't have enough staff. That's why we're mandating all the time. You got people working 12, 16-hour days. It's not safe for any of us.
We've had cases where workers have been mandated 2 days in a row for 8 hours. In effect, they're working 32 out of 40 hours. And they're not alert on the unit. It's not fair to them, not fair to the coworkers, certainly not fair to the patients. I think it's downright dangerous. Recently we had an assault. It was at change of shift, but there weren't enough people on the unit. And a particular patient who had been threatening all day finally acted out and put 3 workers in the hospital.
Started out as a typical day, and then about 9:15 that night, a male patient hit one of my coworkers, and I stood up to help her and got punched in the head repeatedly, anywhere between 3 to 5 times. I really only remember the first punch. I don't really know what happened. I know that we started in one spot, and when everything was said and done, I was 8 feet away from that spot, and I don't know how I got there. You know, what they saw was he basically was throwing me around like a rag doll while he was punching me in the face and head. I had a severe concussion. I had pulled muscles throughout my back and left side of my body, and whiplash. My doctor's telling me it's going to be a very long process to recover, if at all, and I have PTSD.
And this, I don't think, would have happened at the old hospital. So it's a matter of numbers, and I mentioned under-medicated. We went to court to get a particular patient medicated, appealed to the judge, and that was turned down, and this is the same patient who would put 3 workers in the hospital. So that certainly is an issue.
Yeah, I was assaulted at the end of 2010. I was sucker punched. I was out for 5 weeks, suffered a pretty nice back injury and a concussion.
About a year and a half ago, I got kicked in the back, and we had a patient going to the seclusion, which is not very safe, of 3 doors that we have to go to get to the seclusion room. I was putting my key in the lock, and he kicked me in the back. I have to have back surgery, but I'm deciding if I want it or not.
In 15 years, I've been hit twice. Once was a concussion, and the other time I think I missed a day. And that might have been my fault because I had turned away. But once again, the one patient who hit me was on a 2-to-1. He had just assaulted the doctor and was not held responsible for his actions, so he felt free to assault again. And I was the wrong person at the wrong time.
This is probably the 10th time this has happened in my career.
It seems we're always dealing with the same problem, whether it's staffing and patient assaults and the ensuing issues that roll downhill from all that.
Many of the injuries that occurred, both to patients and to staff, were actually preventable and were actually avoidable.
Well, it doesn't make you want to go to work because you don't know if you're going to come out with punches or kicks or bites or spit. It's not safe.
I have seen many good workers, experienced workers, workers with degrees or 10, 12 years of experience, leave the hospital because they felt it was unsafe or they were assaulted.
I decided consciously not to lend my professional experience or my time to a workplace that was not adequately leading employees to be able to complete their job duties and complete their work. During the summer of 2017, I just thought that the situation had deteriorated to the point that I was just no longer able to justify working in a place that was really seriously dangerous. The hospital did not have the adequate staffing necessary to protect patient safety, nor to protect the safety of the employees that I worked with. And so I became keenly concerned about my own safety and the safety of my fellow employees and the patients that were there.
Well, nobody wants to come to work and think that they're going to be assaulted.
It's a very rewarding job, that's why I keep going back, but it's also the level of dangerousness is very, very high, and you're more likely to get hit. My son asked me about it, and I said, well, what would you do if somebody punched you? And he said, probably punch him back. I said, then don't apply.
As far as worker safety, I think there's a big difference between the old VSH and VPCH, and that is attributable to just sheer numbers.
I felt there were a number of aspects of the work with patients at the hospital which were very rewarding and very important to the wellness of the patients and the return of those individuals to their families and to the community, but I simply could not any longer walk in the door of a hospital that was in many cases not even using proper protocols, did not have a violence prevention plan to adequately train staff, to know what to do on a split-second basis, to work as a team, to protect the safety of patients and their fellow co-workers.
The problem with management is we have interim management right now. We have nothing solid, and you know, we need people who are going to come in and care about the staff as much as they care about the patients, and I don't feel like that's what's happening. I feel like they think, what do they care? It's us getting hit, not them. But how would they feel if they were the ones getting punched and kicked and spit on all the time?